Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Last Click. I'm the host, Chris Parsons. I have a very special guest, a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other in the industry now for probably 20 years and just stayed connected through LinkedIn. I'm really fortunate here to have Scott Silverman with me. Scott, thank you for being a part of the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm flattered.
No, I've followed you a long time. I tried to model myself after folks like you and Michael LeBlanc and Jim and just really network and give back to the community. I think you guys are ambassadors of that philosophy.
Thank you. That's nice. I love the people in the community. That makes it kind of easy to want to give back. You care about the people and you want to kind of help connect them and see them grow in their careers. So yeah, that's, I think that's where it really comes from.
Yeah, I often tell people that you can go to a conference and you can truly listen, and which is great. You can listen to those presentations, but it's the side conversations, it's the lunches together, the evenings, and
Yep.
really taking advantage of a network and then following up with them. Even if it's not weekly, it's fine, but following up with them and not just like leaving it sit there in LinkedIn in your endless connection list, but having the way to just really foster those relationships through time is something that I think is so valuable for folks.
Yeah, for sure. And you become like friendly,
That's right.
like not just beyond, not just for work, but like you care about their lives and their families, and you're always getting caught up when you see them again. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. So with CommerceNext, things have changed a little bit, but this has actually been a great event. Tons of suppliers. I was at a conference a few months ago, and there was an imbalance of far more retailers and not enough technology to like go and investigate. And this one has two, three rooms of different suppliers and technology out there, and everybody has a label of AI on it.
Right.
What are you seeing over the 2 days?
Well, I think there's so many options right now for retailers, and the barriers to entry of trying a new technology. It's not really the technology, it's like how much time you can invest as a retailer or a brand to really take it full advantage of all these different products and services. But I think like the build versus buy question is kind of over. I mean,
Right.
you just buy. There's so much out there, and it moves so fast, right? I mean, every segment, it's like crazy. Like the companies that were the leaders, there's always like the next generation coming in. So yeah, it's a fun time right now with all the AI stuff, but it's also how do you really try to understand what they actually do versus what they say. I think the solution providers have a tendency to like say that they are doing a wider range of things, and they have a hard time accepting that they're really good at one thing. And that ends up making it hard for the retailers because everything seems like it overlaps. That's like my advice to a lot of the solution providers is like, say that what you're really good at, and you can always expand later,
Yeah.
but if you're trying to break through, I think you need to be able to explain what you do quickly and be able to say why you're really good at it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we have the same conversation as a retailer, right? Like you could try to be everything to everyone and you fail, but if you can make your brand message succinct enough, that's where you start to have success. And you can have grow more categories and expand your assortment over time, but be good and stand for something.
Yeah, 100%.
And with uh, with the conference being here in New York, it's is it how what's the size comparison to the last couple of years? Because it seems I've been away for a few years, but it seems like there's a really great audience and energy this year.
Yeah, it's a community that continues to grow. CommerceNext does stuff all year round.
Hmm.
They have like later in the year, they'll be back in New York doing like two smaller events back to back focused on post-purchase and AI and retail. They do dinners and webinars throughout the year. So that community builds on itself, and then this event in June becomes a place for everyone to really come together.
Mm. And then when uh, when you think about the next few years of events like this or any others that you might go to, do you see the formats changing? I've been at some recently where everyone's trying to do more fireside chats or some deeper conversations versus maybe the last few years we got heavily into panels. But what I find with panels is like you have maybe five people on stage and everyone gets 2 minutes to, and they're trying to squeeze in their thoughts. Do you see any format changes coming or? any innovation?
I mean, the dirty secret is, as a conference organizer, you're trying to make it easy. You want to get the smart, interesting companies to speak, and these are really busy people. And so I think a panel is a easier ask than, say, come and do a 20-minute solo presentation. So you still want to be able to get their point of view across, but it's hard. And then you have, so, the really big companies, you're dealing with all of their investor relations, PR. It's hard to get them to share some good stuff. I do think I'd like to see in the conferences, like there's so much going on with AI, both the pace of the innovation and the power of the technology and the AI models continue to be like it's like a new generation every 6 months or whatever. And then you have all of the like concerns, like is there something that's going to go into an LLM that's going to get you in trouble? Or, what are you doing if you're letting AI do too much or it's hallucinating? And so I feel like there needs to be like almost like some 101 education, people who are really willing to kind of, open up and really talk about like how they've been, like how they've been burnt and what trying things. And I think this is one of those times where everyone needs to share more, do more of that to help everybody else navigate through this. I always, I've always found that the industry is one where there's a lot of people that like companies that compete one another, especially in the early days of the internet and e-commerce, that everyone still would share. Because if you don't, there's no benefit of allowing all your competitors to make really expensive mistakes. Like if you can help people prevent that and compete in other areas, I think it rises, all ships will rise.
Yeah, I agree. Often about collaboration in our industry that the customers would be better off if we would all collaborate more versus being so competitive with one another. I think there's enough room for a lot of us to grow. And if we sat down and really tried to solve some opportunities, whether that is, I mean, we've been talking about personalization for 20 years, haven't solved that. Replenishment and getting inventory flowing is always an opportunity. And now with AI, which is just I find it's technology that in enabling if you want to find a solution for replenishment or you want to price things better, you can leverage AI and these language models, not to overcomplicate it or simplify it too much. As AI, I almost think is a branding problem right now.
Well, yeah, in many respects. I mean, I think on the consumer side, there's a
As well.
branding problem that, goes back to like, where they're putting data centers and the impact that's having on communities, people feeling like they're going to lose their jobs. And then, on the retailer and the industry side, it's about, just like overpromising, like where's the retailer's NVIDIA or, moment where their valuation has grown exponentially because of AI. It's, we're still waiting for all of that to catch up.
Yeah, that's a great point. I often talk about Scott, the three C's when we're getting in that. The three C's for me was something I learned 20 years ago in college, and it was content, community, and commerce. And then you went through this transition for search where content was king. And now today, I've heard so many conversations, or over the last day and a half, anyways, about how to create content for AI. And it feels like it's the same three principles still: content, community, commerce. If you go back and you look at your content and create it properly with the right descriptions, videos, ratings, and reviews, you will be discovered. And I think we put too much emphasis on the AI part of it, that AI will discover you, versus if you have a good content strategy, you will be found in forums, search, AI search, etc. Have you heard much about people talking about really content still is kind of king?
I think you're right on. I think it's like more important, if not, just as important or more important than it's ever been, is being relevant. And so sometimes the relevancy gets created in different places. Maybe it's on Reddit or, or Wikipedia or somewhere else, but you still need to have that relevance. And I think the AI engines are pretty good at kind of sniffing that out. I think like and maybe I'm getting a little beyond my level of expertise, but I feel like the days of winning from arbitrage might be behind us. I think the AI engines are leveling that playing field a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a great opportunity for smaller companies right now that may not have the big media budgets to really dive into something that they can control and leverage their audience with influencer content or advocacy and create some more forums and blogs that are far more affordable than competing on paid. And really, they can find relevancy.
Right. Well, I think there's ultimately going to be paid in all of
Yes,
the
agree.
engines as well. So we're already seeing that. And I think they're still figuring that out. And the retailers are figuring out, how much budget to allocate there and, what the reports are looking like. So I'm surprised that it hasn't been, I kind of like wondering when's that coming?
Hmm.
When there going to be the conference season when that's the dominant topic
Right.
is paid, AI agents and how do you manage that? Like when Google came onto the scene and when, Facebook came onto the scene and everyone was figuring that out. But
Yeah, probably it's probably next year.
yeah, yeah. Well, certainly if we see all these IPOs happening, there's going to be a lot more pressure for revenue generation from OpenAI and Anthropic and these others.
Yeah, and then we'll have more conversations about the last click attribution and try to
Right. Yeah.
now
Yeah.
where's it coming from?
Right. Well, yeah, I think attribution is the conversation that never goes away.
Never goes away. Scott, thank you so much for being part of today's podcast. I really appreciate it. It's great to catch up with you. How can folks connect with you?
They can find me on LinkedIn and connect with me there. That's probably the best way.
All right, I'll add your description and information, your link in the description of the podcast. And thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to